Daptime, a time dedicated to applying principles that invigorate, motivate, and elevate. Daptime, a time where dope, adventurous people think individually to mutually empower. Full episodes can be found at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on our website at www.itsdaptime.com. Also, follow us on Instagram at Daptime21, Twitter at Dap_time, Facebook at Daptime, and on YouTube at Daptime TV. Thank you for your continued support. As always, we'd like to recognize Harrell Eyewear, one of our many great partners, maker of stylish eyewear for all occasions. Please, if you'd like to reach him directly, you can reach him at www.harrelleyewear.com. Also, look out for the new line, Never Lose Your Identity. It's time.
Yo, welcome back for another episode of Daptime. I am AJ, also known as B-Dub, Bobby Westbrook. And as always, I'm glad to be accompanied by my partner in crime, the one and only world-renowned Big Dame. That groove you hear, well, you should know by now, is being provided by the incomparable in-house maestro himself, always dropping it on the one, Pete Nice. The three of us are delighted to welcome you back for another episode of Daptime. If you weren't here last time, let me tell you, we jumped into BAM, Bold, Authentic Manhood. This is our venture into exploring and discussing the values, principles, precepts for bold and authentic manhood, how that's lived out. Big Dame and I are not experts, but we are giving our take and our insights to help other brothers like ourselves find the best of ourselves, present the best of ourselves, be the best of ourselves. So with that, it is now time. Relax your spine, activate your mind. Let's get it. Big Dame, what's happening?
What's up, big bro? What's happening, man?
Sticking and moving. That's one of yours. I'm sticking and moving, brother. I'm trying to keep my feet on the ground.
It's essential. It's essential to life. It really is essential to life. Yeah.
I've heard that good footwork is the key to managing your way around the ring.
Man, always. So, yeah, man, that's a good thing. Positioning is everything.
What's up with you? Man. Positioning, yes.
Yeah.
What's good with you?
Man, just positioning, positioning myself at all times, blessed as always. And,
yes, get the choir ready.
You know it. And, yeah, man, it's good. Life is good, man. Life is good.
I'm glad. Since we kicked off last week, I have been eager to get back in here and have part two of this conversation, which really is the kickoff, inaugural conversation. We talk about the precepts, but for listeners, if you don't know, if you didn't catch it when Big Dame, let you know at the outset. If this is your first time catching us on YouTube, second time if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscription button and notification bell. Make sure you are up to date on everything that we're doing when we drop it, and share it with a friend. This series we're approaching a little differently. It's so meaty. The topic of manhood, Big Dame, we've even as we've been talking about preparing for this, it's been months of examining this from different angles. Mm-hmm. So we're going to approach this differently, listeners. We're going to really be keying in on this and this exclusively when we tackle this, these episodes. So hopefully you'll be able to stay tuned and go with us all the way. Big Dame, we kicked this off last week. We talked about how the inception of this concept came from a passage in the Bible. Mm-hmm. When I was a child, I thought like a child, I talked like a child, I reasoned like a child. Mm-hmm. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Mm-hmm. And actually, I put those childish things behind me. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of triggered us to thinking about, what does that mean? What kind of things, childlike things, boyish things are we carrying with us in adulthood that are impacting the way we think, the way we talk, the way we reason, and subsequently maybe causing us harm. So that was our kickoff. And so this first installment of tackling it, we said we want to look at foundation. And our premise here is that a good foundation needs to be faith-based, faith-based foundation. So everything you filter, stand on, build, all of that is hinged on having some sort of faith-based ideology. Of course, you and I have been very, very vocal about the fact that we have a Christ-centered, Christ-like Christian faith basis for our living. But I want to tackle this somewhat broad. You know, I mean, less about the things that are polarizing, but more about the precept of faith foundation. Why is having faith as the basis for your foundation so important from your vantage point?
So I think one of the first things that we need to do, if we're going to go there, is we need to understand what faith is, right? So, based on, I'll pull a scripture of my own out. How about that?
Ooh.
So, Hebrews 11:1, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now, I didn't throw that out there to preach at anybody. My point I'm making is when we talk about faith, we're talking about the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. So if someone goes to sit in a chair, are they not, is them sitting in that chair and that chair holding them up? That's the substance of something hoped for. Whether you realize you hoped for it or not, you sat in that chair expecting it to hold you up, right? There's an element of faith to that. So I think people need to understand. So when we talk about faith, we're not trying to we're not trying to cram our ideology down your throat. We're not trying to make you feel one way or the other. But at the end of the day, faith is faith, right? And so I think we need to understand what that is if we're going to talk about making that a pillar in our foundation. So I think it's important because you can't do anything without it. You know what I mean? You really can't do anything without it. And the problem with it is, you show me somebody who doesn't have faith, I'll show you somebody who doesn't have hope. You know what I mean? And I think we all are looking for hope. You know what I mean? Every day that we get up, we're hoping for a better job. We're hoping for more money. We're hoping for whatever it is. Now we're working towards those things as well, but there's a hope for something better. Right. And so I think that's why that's important. As a man, if you can't have faith in something bigger than yourself, then how can you assimilate yourself? How can you put yourself into any entity, be it a family, be it a group of friends, be it whatever? You know what I'm saying? Even with a group of friends, you're one piece in the puzzle, right? So, but if you are the be all and end all, if you're the creator in your mind, that's not going to work because you can't. Now I can't. If I come into the circle and I'm the creator, now I can't receive from you. You know what I mean? I can't submit. I can't humble myself to you and listen and say, "Oh man, AJ was right. That was good. That was good advice. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna put that in my life and I'm gonna grow." And vice versa. You can't take from me, right? So I think that faith piece gives us the ability to humble ourselves, and understand that we are not the be all and end all. And, if you can humble yourself, if you can understand that there's something bigger than you and you have a belief in something bigger than you, then you understand that whatever that is that's bigger than you can use whomever it chooses to grow you and build you and speak into your life. So I think that's important.
It's funny, and we're going to talk about in our spotlight, give a little example of that. So ride with us if regardless of your belief system through this, because there's going to be some meat on the bone here that you want to chew up and take with you. I think, Big Dame, you're nailing something, because I think the ingredients it's outlined in the passage you shared, Hebrews 11:1. I think regardless of somebody's, whether they're Muslim or whether, they have some other belief system for their higher power, higher being, higher authority that they attribute their faith foundation to. I like the idea that you're painting a picture of something that's applicable there, right? You're saying, hey, look, you believe in what you see and envision. You're hoping for that. Faith is really that actionable behavior. It's the mindset behind that, right? As a bold, authentic man, I think one of the things that we find a lot of times, and you and I were talking about this in pre-production, how it's become popular now. It's trending for men to be men, men. That's becoming very popular right now. But you to really be that means sometimes you got to go against the grain. You're not necessarily going to make as a head of a household. You're not going to make a popular decision with everybody in the house. But you got to stand on that if you know that's what's right for your family. Sometimes your principles, your value system is going to go against the grain. Sometimes the things you need to do for you to get to where you got to go because your vision says, hey, I need to go to graduate school. It's not enough for me to have a BA. I need a graduate degree to get to where I got to go. You may have to pull away from your friends who got their BA and now they're going to work. And they're making money and they are getting into social life and you don't have that time. But because of what you hope for, which is I want to be X and it requires me to get Y, you're now going to have to do Z. You know what I mean? To see that outcome. Faith being the substance. I believe I can get there if I apply myself. And I hope to achieve it. I'm going to keep working here. That actionable piece where I also like what you highlight is that if I don't have that, when I reach the end of myself at different points, which we all do, life throws curveballs at you. How will you respond in the trenches? And we're going to spotlight Lou Ritchie a little later in the show, but I think there's, when we talk about his story, there was a point at which he could have easily bailed out on what he wanted to see happen in his life because we're at the end of himself. But faith pushes you through that, right? Because bigger than yourself. I can believe in something beyond my limitations, my strength, my height, my means, my family structure, my childhood, all of that, right? I've never seen it in anybody in my family. I've been exposed, all that kind of stuff. And it powers you in a way that you don't get powered, I don't think, without having faith as a foundation. How do we combat a faith foundation in a world where people are regularly and trying to deny the need for that, trying to force an ideology that says, hey, you're here for your time. And when your time is up, that's it. So there's no need in you believing in anything beyond yourself. How do we combat that?
So I think that from a man's standpoint, I think that goes back to, you had asked me, we were talking, I think it was last episode. And you mentioned, homosexual men. Are they included in this, as bold, authentic men? And I said, yeah. Now, the reason I said, yeah, is not because I agree with that necessarily, but that's not my business. That's not my lifestyle. That's not what I choose to do. It's not my business. But the thing about being a man is I feel like, and what's being lost is I don't have to agree with everything you do and everything you say and everything you throw at me. But I can disagree respectfully. You know what I mean? So I can say, yeah, you're a man. You identify as a man. You're a man then. So come on, get some of this knowledge. Doesn't mean I agree with your lifestyle. There's a lot of people who have make lifestyle choices that I don't necessarily agree with. There's probably some people out there who don't agree with my lifestyle, some of my lifestyle choices. Right. So, you know what I'm saying? It goes both ways. Right. It doesn't mean we're enemies. It just means we have a difference of opinion on how things should go. So I think that is lost. That is completely lost. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're in a world of get along. Kwame said it best, the get along, go along gang. Now, I'm not talking about those people he's talking about, but I do think we have a get along, go along mentality in this world today. And so, if the trending thing is, oh no, it's just energy and it's light and it's the universe and it's just, and when you're gone, you can sleep when you're dead. Everybody runs with it because that's the trending topic, it's not trendy. It's never trendy to be the rebel. It's never trendy to be Malcolm X was not trending when he was Malcolm X. You know what I mean? When he
not with everybody for sure.
It wasn't until after he was dead. And now he's trendy. But he wasn't trendy then. Martin Luther King Jr. was not trendy then. You know what I mean? You know, these guys were not trendy at the time that they were doing what they were doing. And that's what we forget a lot of times. I think we forget that in putting your feet in the ground and standing on something and saying, you know, this is what it is, and I'm gonna stand on it. That's not a trend. That's not you usually don't get the ticker tape parade for that.
Right.
until after the fact. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I think now we're in a time where everybody just wants the ticker tape parade. So whatever I got to do to get that, let me get on social media, let me get on this platform, let me get on that let me go somewhere and be seen and be heard, and I'm gonna throw some cool lines out there that sound fly. Let me throw some I'm gonna throw some one-liners out there. I'm gonna get some followers. You know, I'm gonna, you know, and I'm flying now. I'm there, right? But what have you really done? What have you really what kind of impact have you really made in this thing called life? And I think I think we missed the boat on that a lot of times.
It's funny, man. I like most people, I take a little bit of time on TikTok, take a little bit of time on Instagram. Right. I don't really do that much on Facebook, you know, in terms for entertainment or information. Get a little bit, but not a lot. But I am on Twitter. What fascinates me is when you look at some of the conversations that men share or are involved in, and you just kind of, I find myself like, why are you in that? Right? What is that about? And so it leaves me thinking, what is that person really, where is faith in the foundation of who they are? Not because you have to wear whatever you're believing in as a shroud around you at all times. But I do think if you have a faith-based foundation, it informs all of your other decision making. And so because you can't stand up strong without it, right? Because there are things that are going to come your way that might look attractive, but might not be the best thing for you. Great example for you. I was on TikTok and I saw this brother. This brother came on and posted about Kevin Samuels. He was trying to discredit Kevin Samuels for coming at all these sisters that way, and had pulled some information about Kevin Samuels' divorce. Now, everything about that to me read like sucker. Like chump, like really childish, like bruh, not even childish boy, but just childish. Like, come on, man. Like, who is checking another man's pocket? That's a grown man. Now, this dude on the outside looked like he was an adult, looked like he was of age, you know. And I'm thinking, you took the time to pull this man's business to go out there and do what? Get likes, get follows, be a voice of discrediting him, speak for women. What is your angle here? What about what you're doing is bold, authentic manhood? Nothing. And he was one of several examples that I could pull from that day. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, like informing your decision making. Like when we talk about this whole thing, become a man, like there's a point at which the responsibility of manhood that most men talk about not being respected for, not being understood by women, not being regarded and valued by their significant other. That responsibility, like it's inherent in the fact that you are now a man. So step into it, right? But living that ideology out requires you to apply yourself to it on a daily basis. Does it mean you can't be entertained by some things? No. Does it mean you can't have a voice on some things? No. But the things that entertain you and the things you have a voice on should matter. You know what I'm saying? It's like the boyish things we bring with us, we still talk about, we still think about, we still reason and filter our decisions through rather than manly things. And I think a man having a faith foundation, you approach all those things differently. You know, it's like a cancer, bro.
Well, it's a level of accountability. So it's interesting to me, man. If you hear somebody say, "I'm a man of my word," I wonder if people realize what that really means. So that means your word has power. That means when you put your word out there, you're bound by it. Not only are other people bound by it, you're bound by what you just said. So tomorrow when you wake up and everything wore off and you're not excited and happy and partying anymore, you told somebody, yeah, man, we're going to go to the Bahamas next month. You put that out there. You said that. Doesn't matter what state you were in when you said it. So, but you said it. So if your word is your bond and you're a man of your word, you're bound by that. And I think all too often nowadays, we don't think like that. I'm not saying us necessarily, but people don't think like that.
Right.
So I can say whatever I want to say. I can backtrack it later. I had one too many. Don't pay me no mind. That's no excuse. Then stop having one too many. If that causes you to say things that you're not going to bind yourself to, there's accountability in that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that all too often we've just kind of gotten soft, bro. I think as a society we've just gotten soft, and we've allowed ourselves to make excuses for why we don't do, why we won't do, why we can't do. Instead of saying, no, you know what? I said I'm going to be there for your, I'm going to be there for your football game. I'm going to be there for your football game, barring something, a real excuse. But it's not going to be, I just overslept. I've been working so many hours this week. No, it doesn't matter. Don't go to sleep. Stay up all night and go to the game. That's what you said you was going to do. And I think it's important, man, because that transcends to the next generation. Because now, if your child sees you doing that, they take it to the next level. We just have no laws of governing now. We just we don't even have to act like we're a man of our word. We just do what we want to do and say what we want to say, and it's okay. And it's not, you know what I mean? And there's nobody there to check that, right? So the checks and balances, they start to fall apart. It's a mess, man.
Let me, and so this is a good point to note. Like a lot of this, and I think I want to reemphasize for the audience listening, none of this is coming from this sense of perfecting. Right? Oh man, I'm knocking all these out, checking these boxes and mastery. Because the truth is, some of the reality of this has come over time, going back and examining it. Like, hey, why did this not go the way it's supposed to go? What is this? And fortunately, and you said even a principle element of faith in every aspect of manhood that we'll talk about is accountability. I have friends, my closest circle of friends, tell me, yo, this is an area you need to check, man. Just this is not cool. I think that's the other aspect of your faith basis. Like, you need to be building a community of like-mindedness. Again, doesn't mean you guys believe exactly the same in all things, but a general sense that here's the foundational precepts that we stand on, which are fueled by our faith foundation, by our belief system. And, one might think, hey, I can do X, Y, and Z, and I've got liberties with that. Doesn't faze me, but it doesn't call into question that the foundation of their life is faith. And so you and that man can build from there. But I think if one is like, yeah, I'm the end all be all, I don't believe in none of that other stuff. If I can't do it on my own, it just can't be done. And the other one has this deep and abiding sense that, no, I was created for a purpose to do something more than what I might even be able to see. And it is that source that fuels me with life. Those two don't agree. Now, can we have coffee? Can we have lunch? Absolutely. But can we have deep fellowship and connection? No, because your values are not going to connect when you need counsel, and they're not going to hold you accountable to the same thing. So again, this is not coming from perfection. This is coming from men who are trying to be better, grow and get better every day. Because that's the other part of bold, authentic manhood. It is evolving. There's a responsibility, Big Dame, that you just hit on, to leaving a trail that young men can follow, that leads them to be bolder, more authentic, men. And do you think this is an important topic because, and it sounds like you do, that we've dropped the ball and that we are at a danger point?
Absolutely. That's why we're having the conversation, because it needs to be talked about. I mean, I think we're at a place where, and I'm glad you pointed that out too, because we're not saying bold, authentic, perfect men. You know what I mean? We're not perfect. No one is. But I think there are certain conversations that need to be had. There are certain conversations that are discouraged in today's society. I'll go ahead and say that. I think manhood, masculinity, being a man, those things are kind of discouraged. They're not forefront conversations. They're not thrown out there like they once were. So I think it's important to have those conversations, you know what I mean? Because there's people out here there's young boys who, are looking for a way. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for, and all they know is, they're not finding it. So I think that, I think it's very important because there was a time where boys did this and girls did this, right? And so when you were growing up, you knew, okay, and it might not have all been right, but okay, stop crying. You better fight back, whatever the case was. It was certain things that as a boy, you were supposed to do, Now, I'm not saying it was all right, but it wasn't all wrong neither. But now it's almost like, let's not stereotype boys in one thing, allow them to be whatever they want to be. Well, if you join the Army, they're not going to allow you to be whatever you want to be. You're a soldier. So I'm going to train you. I'm going to train you to be a soldier. Right.
Right.
So my son and any young boys that come around me, they're going to get that tutelage that they're supposed to get as young men.
You'll get that work.
They're going to get that work, man. And but I think that's important. You know what I'm saying? That's right. Something. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, you just do whatever you want. No, it's certain things that if I see it, I'm going to check it, and not out of love. It's going to be all out of love. But, I think that's important. You know what I mean? Because there's going to come a time where they're the men. You know what I mean? And they have to leave a trail. And where do they pull that information from? Where do they pull that knowledge from? Do they even have it? That's the problem I think we're seeing today. You have some who don't have it. They don't even have it to give. They don't have it for themselves. So how can they give it to anybody else? So it could be, it reaches far past us. So that's why I think it's so important, because I don't think we understand the importance of legacy. And people think of legacy, they think of, money and the things I did. This is legacy. Passing down manhood is legacy to young men. You know what I mean? And so if that's not being done, where are we?
So I think that's a great pivot point, because I want to tackle one of the elephants in the room on this topic. But real quick, just want to tell you, if you're just getting in, if you haven't done so, hit that subscription button and that notification bell. You want to be sure to catch every one of these episodes as they come up, and also share this with other men in your life. You guys might want to have a conversation around your domino table, or bid whist, or spades, or hoop, whatever you do with your boys. And we'd love to hear from you about it. Big Dame, there's an elephant in the room when you talk about faith. And I think the elephant in the room is there's so much confusion for people about what to have faith in. Somebody says God, and usually people will derive their own interpretation of what that means based on their experiences. Somebody says, I'm not religious or anything, but, I'm Christian. And, I don't even know what that means. Some people just identify themselves by indoctrination. I'm Catholic, I'm Mormon, I'm Seventh-day Adventist. Somebody say I'm Muslim, my family's, Hindu. We're Hindi, we're Buddhist, whatever, right? People have their own thing. But I think when you talk about faith and a faith-based life, the elephant in the room is that I think for many people, there's confusion about how to begin that discovery because of all of the mess that's out there, right? You know, the minute you start putting your attention on it, there's a news story that pops up and, you know, you see somebody under that banner doing something that's questionable, right? Or as a child, you were in an environment that perhaps forced the indoctrination on you without giving you the opportunity, education, and insight to know what it was and why it was valuable. So if I'm a man and I'm like, okay, you're saying bold, authentic manhood is important. I'm with you on that. You say faith as a foundation is important. I can't just see myself. I can reason out that. Yeah, I do want to have a higher authority that I'm reaching for. But which lane do I choose? How do I begin? Is there a right lane or a wrong lane? For the person who's in that boat, how do they begin that journey from your vantage point? How do they begin to feel, you know, what I've heard described as that God-shaped hole that's in our heart? How do they begin to feel that when you have so many choices and you don't know where you go, which way to go?
Man, that's the $64,000 question right there, bro. I mean, I think it starts with believing in yourself. I really do. I think it starts with a belief in yourself. I mean, that's a very personal journey. You know what I mean? I think for me, believing in me gives me access to everything else, right? Because my God is in me, right? So that's kind of how that works. Kind of how that works for me. But I think for the individual that,
well, you confuse me with that, because if you're saying your God is in you, because then you have people who say we are all gods, right? So your God is in you. So it begins with the personal. It almost sounds like you're saying, well, then you can be your own higher authority.
No, a piece of him is in me. Like, I'm not him. It doesn't make me him. That's different. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm not him.
Right.
But I do have a piece of him in me, and I have access. So and with that, I have access to him through that. You see what I'm saying? That's where that's more. So that's where, you know, prayer, meditation, all those type of things to me are important, because I can communicate with him. I have access to him. You know what I mean? I'm his creation, right? So that's kind of that's what I mean by that. So as I believe in myself, I feel like I'm believing in him at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important. And the reason I say it like that, because I think some people say, just believe in God. But if he gave you, in my opinion now, certain authorities, you know, then don't you have a responsibility to do certain things? You see what I'm saying? If he gives you certain authorities, if he tells you, you know, you can do this, you can do that. I give you dominion. There's certain things that were given to you, to mankind. So at what point do we stop saying, God, please do this and please do that? At what point is he not sitting back saying, man, why do you keep asking me? I gave you that already. And I gave you the authority to do this and that and the third. So for me, when I say I believe in myself, is believing that what he said is true. So I believe in my ability to do the things that he said I can do in this earth. So that's where I'm coming from with that. And I'm tread light with that, because for every individual is different. You know what I mean? Every individual has their own connection. And so, but I think for the person who just doesn't know where to start, I think if you start with believing in yourself, then you'll get direction. You know, you should get direction if you're truly seeking that. You know what I mean? If you're truly seeking a higher form, you know what I'm saying? A higher power, a higher authority, then you should open yourself up to that. But I mean, I hear you.
I think here's where I think I'm looking for clarity on that, because I think there are things out there at our Tolkien, whatever. There's all these books out there where you can elevate to a higher consciousness, and the higher consciousness will manifest these things in your life. And so I think there, again, like I said, it's so much confusion and the water gets muddy. And at the same time, I love the aspect of what you're saying where it starts with introspection. You know, I think every person's journey is personal. Every person's journey toward God is a personal one. And I think that's the beauty of it. You know, just like we have unique fingerprints, you know, the message, the voice, the relationship is really one-to-one and one-to-many. It's, you know, but I think, at least, again, this is the way I believe, but I also feel like if you're going to have a faith-based foundation, acknowledging first that there is God and you're not him. So you begin the internal conversation as one that, but I want to know you. I want to better understand. I think that's what you're saying, right? And as you begin to ask those questions and internalize, you and I are fortunate in that, you know, we kind of got a good foundation from home to set us up so that even as we were out there figuring it out and fumbling our way through it, when we came to the end of ourselves, we knew, oh, all right, well, I'm out. Time for me to cut.
That's what they was talking about. Okay, let me. That third Sunday that I missed, that was the one. Yeah,
you know, and so we were able to start that conversation. We knew how to jumpstart it, but I am mindful of the fact that not everybody comes from an environment like that. That, you know, I heard a story from someone who was seriously in their formative years violated by people that they needed the most, who happened to be representatives of Christianity, of the same faith, and were in church every week, you know, loud and proud, but during the week doing some of the most vile things, you know, and that scars people.
It does, and it's very unfortunate. But the thing with that, you gotta be careful with is, you know, people get shot in nightclubs all the time. How many people that frequent nightclubs swear off nightclubs after a nightclub shooting? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Oh, we was at the club and they started shooting and they shut that club down though. So next week we're going to have to go to the other club because they still open. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation because it's a terrible situation, but
right.
I just think when it comes to religion, we're quick to just write off a whole religion because of some people's actions. You know what I mean? But in other aspects, we don't use the same principle when it comes to other things. You know what I'm saying? If you get a bad haircut, you don't stop going to barbers, right?
Well, I think there's confusion. Now you're getting into the meat and potatoes of a bold, authentic man. I think it's okay to hold God responsible. You know what I mean? I think we, and I'm using, you know, we for all of us as men. I think we act like children when we take those kinds of positions. If there was a God, why would he do this to me? You know what I mean? That's a child. A man comes back and says, look, this don't feel right. This don't feel like love to me, you know, and handles his business with the offender. Now, you might find out the offender didn't really intend for the outcome that occurred, or that wasn't the end of the conversation. Like, man, if you would have stuck around, I actually was going to take care of that for you. Or if you did this is what I intend for you. Or I did that because I have this for you down the road. You know, there are all kinds of things. But a lot of times, again, when I was a child, I thought like a child. I talked like a child. I reasoned like a child. And so you have men doing things. Think about it. It shows up in their relationships. You know, we talked about it a little bit. You know, wife ain't acting right as far as you see it. You know, the benefit package that you signed up for seems to be drying up. You was making dinner every day. Now I barely get a meal every 2 weeks. We eating out, or I got to cook, or something. We going to your mama house. You know what I mean? sex is a big one in marriages, and so the benefit package gets short. You find yourself thumbing through the brochure. I thought they had a full dental. like I'm paying a premium and a deductible just for cleaning. You know what I mean? And that happens. Again, get mad, have a fit, hold a grudge, get resentful. Now you stop doing your duties around the house instead of resolving the issue. And so that's not manly. So with God, with a faith basis, again, I'm not telling you how you get to him. I'm not telling you where you're starting from is a bad place. I'm telling you how to get to God. You start the conversation, but it's real and honest. Yeah. Rather than have some, punkish, lightweight, tantrum and say, well, if he was real, this wouldn't happen to me. Or if he was real, I wouldn't have had it this rough, So I think we sometimes can come and say, hold him accountable for the promise. But if you don't have a foundation at all that includes faith, regardless of how you're getting there, you don't believe for better, but you hold them accountable too. Mm-hmm. Here's one your point about being at the end of yourself. So if life is sucks for you, who do you go to? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's and you hit the nail on the head. I think it is childish. It's very childish. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's really what it is, and it really is just a tantrum. It's that's what it is. It's a tantrum. It's this is your fault. Okay, that's what your kids do. I hate you. I hate it here. Not my kids. They know better than talking like that.
Right.
No,
get that work.
Get that work, man, for real. But let me stop for CPS show up at my house trying to lock me up. But yeah, man. I mean, but that's what kids do, right? They just belt out because it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. That's my response. And I think the problem with that is you have to understand, once you become a man, you understand that is not a viable response. It might feel good to just belt out and have a tantrum and scream. Great. Get that off your chest. Now come back and get back to the work of what you need to do to ameliorate the situation, because that's not going to fix nothing. It might feel good for the moment, but it's not fixing anything. And so when you talk about, oh man, it ain't no God. If it was a God, why would all these kids be dying and why would all this bad stuff be happening and blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, as a man, you can look at a situation critically and you can see why certain things are happening. You know what I mean? You could see the evil that men do. You know what I mean? You going to put that on him? You really going to put that on him? Is that really that's really your position? You going to hold to that? And I think
because Leonard want to stay at the pool hall, get drunk, go home and beat his wife and beat his children. And that's God's fault.
Right. And now his kids is out there slinging dope and cutting up in the neighborhood, and because they didn't learn nothing. All they saw was daddy beating on mama all their life. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's happening. That ain't got nothing to do with God. God told you not to do that, but you did it anyway. So I think,
and I go a step further. And what man is standing up for those children?
Exactly.
What man is standing up to Leonard and holding Leonard accountable? You live in this community, that don't fly, bruh.
That's why
that does not fly.
That's why I said I had a conversation probably about a month ago, and it was one of those. It was funny, man. I felt old for the first time. Like, you remember when you were young, and people say,
I'm still young. What you talking about?
Right, younger is what I said. You didn't hear the ER? You didn't hear the?
I didn't hear the
R part? Yeah, younger. That's what I said. But when we were younger. And people would say, man, this generation today, these kids is just crazy. I don't know what's wrong with these children today. Every generation says it, right? So I was having a conversation with somebody about a month ago, and they were talking about this generation. They were like, this generation, man, I don't know what's wrong. And I had to stop them, and I said, man, you know what? You're right. They're different than we were. They're a little less respectful than we were, but I have to look at us. You know what I mean? I have to look at our generation, because where did they get it from? They got it from somewhere. They got that. They developed this attitude. They developed this energy from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And it was either from what they got from us or what they didn't get from us is what built that. You know what I mean? And so I think it's important to look at that. And we can't just point the finger at the next generation and say, man, look at these crazy kids. We got to point the finger at us and say, man, what did we not do? And so it goes back to being accountable, right? I can't just throw it off on you. I can't just throw it. That's your problem now. These kids are crazy. I don't know what the hell going on. And so it's like, I can't do that. I have children that are in this generation, you know what I mean? That got to rub elbows with these crazy kids. You know what I mean? What did we not do? And if we didn't do it, what are we going to do now to help fix the situation? You know what I mean? Because you just can't have that. That's that childish mentality. I'm done. Mm-hmm. I'm done. I don't know. I did all I could do. No, you didn't. You're still here. You're still breathing. You can still do more. So I think that's the attitude that we have to have. You know, as men, we have to be able to look at a situation and recognize it for what it is, and then be willing to put the work in to help to do something, to get a result.
And that standard, that line is being held. That is regardless of your age. That's regardless of your position. Because I think that gets lost. Like sometimes it's like, well, I do that for children, my children, whatever. But grown men should know better. I got a partner, Los. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Los is the principle is the principle regardless of your age. Mm-hmm. And the principle of respect and setting a line. I'm gonna set a line, hold a line. Mm-hmm. So I've been at his house where kids out front get loose, as these kids do today, and kicking the ball around could knock somebody's window out. Mm-hmm. Parents are there, not saying nothing, has no problem walking out and be like, hey, cut that out. Y'all need to go down to the park or something. Mm-hmm. That's not for out here. Mm-hmm. That's the line, right? Your parents need to see that this is how we do this around here. You got to respect everybody's property. Mm-hmm. Had a partner was at his house, had a partner that was coming to get together, I think a fight or a game or whatever. Mm-hmm. A friend was coming in, going out. Come in, going out. Third time he came in, Los was like, hey, ain't gonna be no in and out here. You need to come in or you need to go out, right? We've heard that as kids, right? But when you realize you're seeing, hey, they didn't get the social lessons that some of us got, I'm going to give it to them today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that friend chose to go out and never return. Right? But that's how it is, right? Somebody has to hold the line. I think to your point, man, there's just so much foolishness that we see, but that line begins with a basis of a belief in an ideology that sets your values, and your values inform your decisions. Mm-hmm. And so I think what you've framed is the conversation you have to start that conversation within yourself. And I think even if you have a faith foundation, I think so for the person who doesn't have a faith foundation, you need to start that conversation. Okay, God, if you're real, I want this bold, authentic manhood. It doesn't hurt you, brother, or, wherever you're coming from, to ask the question, okay, God, if you're real, show me, speak to me, make that real. Lead me to you. If this is an important part of my manhood, bring that to me. That there's no harm in that for you. And so that will be your first step. If you already have a basis, there's nothing wrong with you coming back and saying, okay, God, I have this relationship with you. Am I really fueling my decision making and how I'm living my life out with this as a principle precept that's guiding my decision making around my money, around my career, around how I'm moving in my household, just to do a systems check? Because I think what we would find is there's a lot of places where maybe we've been laxed. Faith has been compartmentalized to church, or however we, the social gatherings we have, or our spiritual moments, right? It's that 1 hour a week, 30 minutes a week, 10 minutes a week, once a month, once a quarter, once a year, where we really focus on it. But it's not something that's active part. And your foundation is not something that's only with you part time. It's with you all the time. And so I love the thought that this foundational precept informs who we are. That's going to be the backbone to everything that you do and how you move to stand up as a man.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. And I think it just gives you that, again, it gives you something to be bound to. It gives you something to be bound to. You know what I mean? It's something to be said for having something that, when you go to try to fix your health or you want to lose some weight or what have you, you start a diet, you start an eating plan, you start an exercise plan, what have you. But within a day or two, you're already looking for the cookies. You're already looking for the pizza, the fried chicken, the biscuits. You're already trying to skip out on workout. It's just natural. You're automatically, man, I don't feel like going in here today. I don't want to get this workout today. Man, I got to eat salad for lunch. I'd rather have that leftover pork chop, whatever. But it's something to be said when there's something binding you, when you're bound to something, whether it be accountability to someone else. We're in this plan together to lose 20 pounds. So now I have to answer to you. You know what I'm saying? Or I had a health scare. So that's kind of holding me. I have to answer to that. My body has told me, I have to answer to my body. My body has told me, look, keep it up. This ain't going to be good. So now I have to answer to that. When you have something that you're bound to, that you have to answer to, it's something to be said for. It's something to be said for that, because you can't just do what you want to do at that point. And we need those parameters. As men, we need to understand we need parameters. We do.
Right.
It is not healthy or not good for us to just be out here doing whatever we want to do when we want to do it. We need some guidelines. We need some rules. And a real man understands that and positions himself to be in that, to have guidelines and parameters. And so I think what you're talking about with faith, I think that's what that does. I think it provides, not that you're perfect, not that you don't ever step outside of those guidelines or parameters, but it provides a template, to where when you get out of bounds, you're out of bounds, and you probably should get back in bounds. You know what I mean? So it just gives you that template, man. And I think it's important.
I think as we go along, brothers, we're going to probably uncover other things that may be a little lighter to talk about. Our health, fitness, our money, our relationships, things that are more fun and common around the table. Big Dame and I wanted to tackle this topic because we really do believe foundationally that unless men are standing up holding a line that says faith foundation is a principal precept upon which men have to build their lives, we're going to find more men that are willing to make concessions and make it even easier than it already is for people to devalue and minimalize manhood, to misconstrue and misrepresent masculinity and male strength. And what kind of world would this be if men are men? If we're not standing up as men, being differentiated, every gender equation and combination is respected, except I'm man. I'm a man. And what a sad story it would be for the one given the charge to have dominion is walking around being dominated. This isn't about going home and telling your wife, woman, this is how it's going to be. This isn't about walking in the store with your shirt unbuttoned down to your belly button with a big chain on and, a big belt buckle. And, I just want you to know I'm going to the store. I'm buying what I want. You don't have to. It's about bravado. This is about bold, authentic manhood that who among us hasn't seen a strong man and been like, that's right. Acknowledgement, respect along the way. Which of us as a young boy did not come across a strong man standing in his manhood with his confidence on that didn't recognize that was different than Percy? I'm not that. No, I don't know. There might be a strong Percy out there. I'm sure there is. No disrespect. Just use your name. Just came up, right? No disrespect, bro. But I'm just saying, we felt it was important. In order for us to achieve what we need to achieve, we have to begin with a foundation that has a faith basis. Otherwise, when you come to the end of yourself, that's all you got. And that leads us to our spotlight tonight, Lou Ritchie. Coach Lou Ritchie is the head coach for the varsity men's basketball team at Bishop O'Dowd and one of its teachers. Big Dame Lou's story is a very interesting one, right? Undersized guard coming out of high school, decides to walk on at UCLA. He'll tell more. He'll be here, by the way, in a couple of weeks to share more with us live as a live interview during that particular episode. But I don't want to be a spoiler, but Lou went on from UCLA to play at Clemson, played about 57 games at Clemson, played in the NCAA tournament. Again, an undersized guard. Along the way, had a myriad of instances where the hope and aspirations for achievement through sport could have left him not experiencing any of that. Then comes out, starts an AAU team, a little tournament, had a basketball clinic, which became successful, goes on, gets a graduate degree, now is the head coach of a prominent national program that does well at definitely one of the top academic institutions in Oakland, as well as athletic institutions in Oakland, and making a difference in the lives of young men. Ivan Rabb, who just went to the NBA and draft a couple of years ago, one of his players. He's the head coach for number 2 player nationally, high school player in the country right now, and has a fantastic program. All of his players, great students as well. He's impacting the lives of young men, passionate about his community. I spotlight him because here's a man, again, myriad of opportunities in life where, were it not for a belief in something greater than himself, any number of outcomes could have left him falling short. And so he comes to represent a living example of what we're talking about. Believe in something greater than yourself. Get a clear vision of what you hope for. Put actionable movement behind that. And in that journey, make that become a substantive, tangible reality. So whether it's a marriage and you have never had a relationship last more than 2 weeks, or whether it's success in your career and you haven't held a job down for more than 6 weeks, or whether it's seeing your bank account flush and you become a lender and not a borrower, but you're in debt up to your eyeballs, whatever, you would have debt for 2 lifetimes. But you whatever it is that you hope for, you take your faith, use that to fuel your actions, and believe for better. We believe that is the path. And in the process, it's the beauty of faith. In the process, even before you achieve, you can stand with your back straight, proud, strong. You ain't got to be head hung low, walking around like a little boy, getting punked by neighbors, punked by coworkers, punked by the community, because you're a man. Again, Big Dame said it. This isn't bold, authentic, perfect man. This is bold, authentic manhood. I'm a man when I'm winning. I'm a man when I take a loss. But either way, I'm all man. And I believe that my circumstances are temporary. My success is eternal. And I will achieve to leave a mark, a legacy that's bigger than me behind me, because I'm believing in something bigger than me. So with that, Big Dame, I think it's a great time to turn it over for one of those DAP DNAs, Dame's Nuggets of Wisdom. So I will shoot it to you, brother. What you got?
Man, we're going to go to Pop's Corner, man. In light of the Manhood series, we're going to go to Pop's Corner. This is where we show our respect to fathers and fatherly insight by sharing some of the wisdom we received along the way. This is just our way of honoring father's wisdom, where life and lessons go hand in hand. So a little different. Normally, this is where, we share some of those nuggets that we got from fathers, uncles, old heads in the neighborhood, whomever.
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson. So, we usually take those moments and kind of share some of the little nuggets that they gave us. But with this one, we're going to go with different quotes, about manhood and just kind of expound on those a little bit. So this one comes from Douglas Wilson. He's a pastor. And it basically says, if boys don't learn, men won't know. So very cut and dry quote, But if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, and it touches right in line with what we're talking about today. We're talking about faith as a foundation. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about leaving a trail behind us for the youngsters to learn how to be men, to pick up that and grow. That's what we're talking about. And the reason this quote stuck out to me is because all too often I think that's what's happening. Boys aren't learning. So when they become men, they don't know. So you got a bunch of men who are grown men by age, but they don't know how to be a man. They were never taught to. It was never taught to them. So I with that said, and with you bringing up Lou Ritchie, I think that's timely as well, because I think he's one of those people who is teaching boys. Right? They're not necessarily his boys. They are his boys, but they're not his biological sons. Mm-hmm. But he's teaching groups of boys throughout the years so that when they become men, they'll know. They learn. Now, if they choose not to apply the lessons, it's on them. But they know because they were taught. And so I think it's important. It tells me that in order to know, you must be taught, right? So everybody's not going to get it at home. Some people's dad is not there. If he's there, maybe he's not functioning. I don't know. But all I do know is I would challenge every man to teach. You know what I mean? To look for those opportunities where you can drop a nugget, drop a little gem here or there. It doesn't have to be much, just a little bit of your time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a conversation, a word of encouragement, whatever it may be. It could go a long way, because the thing about it is, I know we've been dropping scriptures to death, but there's one that says, one will water, one will drop seed, one will give water, but God gives the increase. So as you move through life, you don't know, you might be dropping a seed, you might be watering a seed, but at the end of the day, God will give the increase. So just do your part, just encourage, and do what you can as you move through. Look for those opportunities to do what you can, and the rest will work itself out. So if boys don't learn, they won't know. So I encourage you to teach as you walk throughout your journey.
Man, love that, Big Dame. Appreciate that nugget of wisdom. By the way, brothers, you can check out on our website, www.itsdaptime.com. Click on the Dap Shop. We have a special. It'll be limited edition, only available while this series is on. But we got a BAM shirt. If you are a bold, authentic man, you're representing bold, authentic manhood, we encourage you to make a purchase. Big Dame, at the end of this series, Big Dame and I are going to take a portion of the proceeds from that and give those proceeds out to supporting community resources that help young men who don't have men in their lives. So we're going to select somebody, make sure we make donation to them, and help these young men get access to something that will help them learn, so that when they become men, they will know. So you would be supporting a good cause if you made a purchase, and your name, your purchase can be represented if you want. Just drop us an email. Let us know you made the purchase, what date it was. We'll go from there. Also, if you want to, you can follow us on social media platforms as well. We'd love to have you join us there. Share your thoughts, give us some feedback, interact, share with friends. On Twitter, we're at Dap_time. On Instagram, we're at Daptime21. And on Facebook, we're at Daptime. But wherever you do it, make sure that you do it and don't do it alone. Share it with some friends. We'll leave you now, as we always do. When you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, there is your competition. We out.
Peace.